The night before my wedding, a young boy blocked my way at the alley entrance. "You must not marry Liu Yannian." I walked straight past him, pretending not to hear. Liu Yannian was the new top scholar in the imperial examinations, the legitimate son of the prime minister. This was an excellent marriage I had spent an entire year plotting. What madman would dare ruin my betrothal? But he shouted urgently behind me, "Liu Yannian keeps a mistress and has an illegitimate son. The family glory you slave your whole life to uphold will only be for others." His words felt like a vicious curse, stabbing my heart word by word. I stopped and turned around. "Why should I believe you?" His next words shocked me to the core. "Because I am your son, whom you have never met." This was too absurd. Absurd enough for me to think he was a liar hired by some young lady to break off my engagement. After all, Liu Yannian was the most desired bachelor in the capital. Even before becoming top scholar, he was the prime minister's most promising legitimate son, handsome, brilliant, polite, and gentle as jade. Once the emperor named him top scholar, matchmakers flooded his residence, having successfully become engaged to the Liu family. I was the thorn in the eyes of every noble young lady. I fell silent for a moment, then ignored him again. I turned to leave. The boy rushed up and grabbed my sleeve. "Mother, if you don't believe me, you will regret it someday." His mother was so sincere I almost answered him instinctively. I suppressed my temper and spoke gently. "You are not much younger than I am. Do not falsely claim me as your mother. I am kind-hearted. If it were anyone else who ruined a lady's reputation, you would have been beaten to death with sticks." He blushed with anxiety, his eyes glistening with tears. "I know why you insist on marrying Liu Yannian. The jade bracelet on your wrist was given to you by your grandmother on her deathbed. Her lifelong regret was not seeing you marry a good husband, so you are determined to marry the finest gentleman in the capital. But mother, think clearly. Liu Yannian is outstanding, but he is not a good match. Grandmother wanted you to marry well so you could be happy. Do not put the cart before the horse." My hand, which had been habitually rubbing the bracelet, froze abruptly. It was true that mother had called me into her room alone on her deathbed. Father was a good official, but not a good husband. He was always socializing, rushing about, scheming for the Marquis mansion's century-old glory. He never looked back at mother and me. I was only 10 then, ignorant and naive. I only remembered mother clutching my hands tightly. My, you must find a good husband in the future. Do not be like mother, letting other women look down on you." When she drew her last breath, father was still busy with official business. He did not get to see her one final time. Such a secret was known to no one but me. My heart shuddered, yet I still dared not fully believe him. "When did he take the mistress?" 5 years ago, the boy said coldly. He seemed to hate Liu Yannian deeply, his voice full of icy mockery. My heart twisted sharply. So early. So he had never truly wanted to marry me. That woman is of low birth and cannot enter the prime minister's residence. But Liu Yannian treasures her like a jewel, always planning carefully for her. Once his grandfather died and his position in court was secure, he turned on you and poisoned you to death. I stood frozen, as if struck by lightning. Bone-chilling cold crept up my back. Somewhere deep inside, a voice told me, this boy was not lying. "What about you?" I asked quickly. He smiled bitterly. I knew he doted on his concubine and destroyed his wife, plotting to murder his legal spouse. I gathered evidence to beat the imperial appeal drum, before I could leave. His men strangled me and threw my body into a well. "Then you are now." I stared at the living, warm boy before me, at a loss for words. His gaze gradually darkened. "Mother, do you believe in gods and Buddhas? Heaven took pity, it let me return, and this time, I will not let you suffer, too." My heart was in complete chaos. Both the Marquis mansion and the Prime Minister's residence were prominent families. The Emperor himself had granted the marriage. With guests from all over the capital invited, the wedding procession would arrive early tomorrow morning. Time was pressing. How could I simply refuse to marry? I secretly brought the boy back to the Marquis mansion first. He looked curiously around my boudoir, as if everything was new to him. Suddenly, his gaze fell on the scattered paintings on the table. "Mother, so your painting skills were already this masterful when you were young?" I frowned in confusion. He explained at once. One year for the Empress Dowager's birthday, you painted her portrait as a gift. Her features were lifelike, compassionate and dignified as if the Bodhisattva had descended. The painting stunned the whole court. The Empress Dowager loved it dearly. After speaking, he sighed softly, but after returning home, Liu Yannian scolded you fiercely. He said a lady of the inner chambers should keep a low profile. Showing off such skills to gain favor was the behavior of a brothel woman. My eyes turned cold instantly. Liu Yannian was clearly suppressing me, begrudging me any success. What husband in the world compared his legal wife to a brothel woman? And he called himself a scholar. I was not yet married, still outside the situation, and terrifyingly clear-headed. I did not want to dwell on the miserable things that had not yet happened. Instead, I studied the boy carefully. His eyebrows and eyes actually resembled mine, slender brows, phoenix eyes, distant and cold. The only flaw was a small black birthmark the size of a fingernail on his left cheekbone. As if sensing my gaze, the boy quickly covered the birthmark with his hand, awkward and self-abased. I realized this birthmark must have brought him painful memories. I did not mention it and asked gently, "What is your name?" "Xue Zhao." "Did I name you?" He nodded. In that instant, my heart melted completely. Zhao meant bright and upright, a bright future. I must have loved him deeply to give him such a beautiful, hopeful name, and my surname was Xue. We were mother and son, with nothing to do with that man. 3. After thinking for a long time, I told my maid Inga to bring a plate of peanut pastries from the kitchen. Both Xue Zhao and Inga's faces paled drastically. Xue Zhao had guessed my intention and stopped me urgently. "No, mother, you are deathly allergic to peanuts. This is a matter of life and death," I said calmly. "It is too late to refuse the marriage. The only way now is to delay. There are no perfect solutions in this world. Mother knows what she is doing. I know where the mistress lives. We will go there now. I remember the mistress's son is about my age. She might already be pregnant, or even have given birth." Xue Zhao grew more and more excited. "Once this is exposed, Liu Yannian's reputation will be ruined. The wedding will be called off. For noble sons, taking a maid before marriage, even visiting brothels, was no great matter. But openly keeping a mistress struck at the very root of honor and was despised by all. No respectable family would marry their daughter to such a man." I understood Xue Zhao's reasoning, but the reality was far more complicated. I smiled bitterly. "You do not know your maternal grandfather well enough. Even if there is a mistress, even if she truly has a child now, he will only cover it up and send me to the wedding sedan tomorrow as if nothing happened. To him, a powerful alliance, the dignity of the Duke's mansion, all were more important than his own daughter. He had not even seen mother on her deathbed. Why would he ruin the marriage for me?" Xue Zhao tried to speak again, but I had already swallowed 2 peanut pastries. When I had eaten enough, I told Inga to throw the rest away. Leaving no trace, after a long while, I felt a faint itching all over my body, my face and skin swelled and broke out in rashes. I exaggerated my suffering 12-fold, collapsing weakly onto the bed. "Inga, tell master I am unwell. Go fetch a doctor." As expected, father hurried over as soon as he heard. At the sound of footsteps, I immediately stuck my fingers down my throat and poked hard. He stepped in just in time to see me vomiting all over the floor. He frowned in fury. "Who gave the young lady peanuts?" I said weakly. "Father, I did not eat peanuts. Someone must have mixed peanut powder into my food on purpose. I fear someone is plotting against me. But the wedding truly must be delayed." He did not reply. He stepped forward to check my condition. "Can you still stand? I will find a matron to support you tomorrow." It was clear he did not want to delay. I smiled bitterly. "Daughter can endure it, but I cannot control my body." I glanced at the vomit on the floor. If I disgrace myself in front of all the guests at the wedding tomorrow, how can that be allowed? He fell silent for a long time, his face dark, my whole body tensed, cold sweat dripping down my back. He looked around, as if thinking, "First see the doctor. I will go see the Prime Minister now." I knew he had agreed, but the complicated look in his eyes before he left made my heart hang high. He was a shrewd, calculating old fox. My petty tricks might have been seen through, yet he had compromised, for, after the doctor prescribed medicine and left, Shui Jiao rushed in with red eyes. Mother, why did you have to do this? I forced myself to sit up, not wanting him to worry. Don't worry, I knew the amount, it won't hurt me badly. In desperate times, you have to be cruel to yourself. Just like when I had tried to win Liu Yanyan's favor, I had been cruel to myself then too. Our first meeting was when his horse spooked during a hunt. At the critical moment, I rushed out without regard for my life and pulled the reins for him. I was dragged several zhong by the horse, my skin torn, miserable and bloody, but I saved him barely in time. Liu Yanyan was shaken. I have long heard Miss Shui is an excellent horse rider. To see it today is truly as rumored. Only your injuries. I endured the sharp pain and smiled pale. As long as young Master Liu is unharmed. It left a thrilling, deep impression on Liu Yanyan. Of course, everything was my plan. I had found out his hunting time in advance and bribed the groom to drug the horse. The dosage, the moment the horse spooked, all perfectly calculated. The ground there was soft, it looked painful, but there was no real danger to life. I had also hidden guards in secret. If things truly spiraled out of control, someone would back me up. But how could that compare to the shock of seeing me covered in blood? I must have been sick, always using self-harm to get what I wanted. I even found it satisfying. After all, no one cared or felt sorry for me. Mother, I care about you. Shui Jiao seemed to hear my thoughts and knelt halfway by my bed. Suddenly, a scalding hot tear fell onto the back of my hand. Looking at the worried Shui Jiao, I suddenly realized I had been too headstrong. So much so that I had neglected this boy who had crossed time just for me. Grandfather actually cares too. My pupils shrank sharply. Shui Jiao went on. After you were poisoned to death in my previous life, Liu Yanyan gave you a grand funeral at once. Grandfather hurried over and demanded to open the coffin to examine your body. He didn't believe you had died of a sudden illness for no reason. He insisted on finding out the truth. The Liu and Shui families fell out completely back then. Although grandfather gave in under pressure in the end, he really grieved for you, if what Shui Jiao said was true. I suddenly understood the look in father's eyes before he left. It was not calculation or indifference after seeing through my trick, it was helplessness and worry for me. Shui Jiao knelt by my bed and kept watch the entire night. When dawn broke faintly, I got up quietly, helped Shui Jiao onto the bed, and tucked him in. Father had been waiting for me in the study for a long time. He showed no surprise when I entered. He sat upright in the wooden armchair, exuding an invisible oppressive aura. I hung my head and confessed, I ate the peanut pastries on purpose. Father was not surprised. He let out a cold laugh. Blame it on someone with ill intentions, a diversion to buy time. He shook his head. Shui Mai, you are too naive. My face darkened, my voice stiff. I don't want to marry Liu Yanyan anymore. Nonsense. He roared in anger, slamming his hand heavily on the wooden table. You were the one who tried by every means to marry him. No one forced you. Now you use a self-inflicted injury to break the engagement. You are utterly willful. I see your mother left too early, with no one to discipline you, which is why you've turned out so useless. Something inside my heart shattered. My rage peaked at that moment, and I blurted out, you have no right to mention mother. You didn't care about mother, and you don't care about me. All you see is your career and power. When mother was on her deathbed, you wouldn't even come back to see her for the last time. What do you care who I marry now? Slap. A clear, loud slap echoed through the silent study. Stars exploded before my eyes. Half my face went almost numb. Blood seeped from the corner of my mouth, salty and metallic like rust. I could not react for a long while. After hearing Shui Jiao's words, I had truly wanted to talk to father calmly. So why did it end like this again? Mother. Shui Jiao suddenly pushed the door open and rushed in. I immediately shielded him and whispered sharply, what are you doing here? Shui Jiao was like a small beast on full guard, staring at father with tension and anger. He knew it was inappropriate to come in now, yet he came anyway. She has every reason not to marry Liu Yanyan. He keeps a mistress before even marrying. Planning to use her up and then destroy her. What's wrong with her refusing to marry such a man? Father stared at us both in shock, his usual confident expression shattered abruptly. What did he call you? Mother. Father was truly a powerful minister, sharp at catching the key point. Ignoring the pain, I explained. It sounds absurd, but Zhao really is my son from my previous life. I told him everything about our meeting and recognition in full detail. Shui Zhao added at just the right moment. Grandfather, you spoiled Zhao the most. Whenever I came back to the manor with mother, you would carry me to the study and let me play with mother's childhood toys, little windmills and wooden horses. Those toys are still in your cabinet. Father trembled violently. The hand that had just slapped me was now trembling faintly, almost imperceptibly. I looked at him in great surprise, even sensing a trace of awkwardness. How did I not know about this? Shui Zhao knew even such secrets. Although father had always hated supernatural talk, he had to believe it now. I cleared my throat, trying to break the delicate atmosphere. Father's personal attendant entered. He reported, "Master, young Master Liu has come to visit." All three of us tensed immediately. Father regained his calm and dignified demeanor and ordered steadily, "Maya, return to your room at once. Remember, you are still sick." He then glanced at Shui Zhao. "You go hide in my courtyard first." I was no fool. Liu Yanyan's visit at this moment was far from just a friendly check-in. This man who had toyed with me in my previous life possessed an abnormally sharp sense of smell. I looked at my face, still swollen and bleeding from the slap. My heart sank. I could not let him see me like this. I immediately wiped the blood from my lips, took off my outer dress, and lay back on the bed in only my inner garment. Inga hurried over anxiously. "Young miss, young Master Liu and Master are coming this way." I cursed inwardly. That troublesome Liu Yannian wouldn't even give me a moment to breathe. Father's voice came first. "Maya fell gravely ill last night, vomiting and suffering from diarrhea, covered in rashes. It was very dangerous. The wedding day has been delayed. This is the Marquis Manor's fault. Thank you for coming to see her, young Master Liu. We would not want you to catch her illness." Liu Yanyan's gentle, elegant voice replied, "My wife-to-be and I are soon to be married. How could I mind such things? I care most about her safety." With that, the two stepped into the room. I pressed the slapped side of my face into the pillow, covering my face with one hand. I just let the rashes show. "Liu Lang, why are you here?" My voice was flustered and ashamed. "Leave quickly. Maya is sick and her face is ugly. I don't want you to see me like this. How could I dislike you when you're sick?" He pretended to be annoyed and tried to step closer to check. "We are already engaged. Why stand on such ceremony? Let me see properly. How can I know you're better if you hide your face?" My heart tightened. If I moved my hand, I would be exposed. Father stepped forward at once, casually blocking his view. "Although you are engaged, you should still observe proper etiquette." Liu Yannian looked regretful and apologized hastily. "I have been rude. I was worried about Maya and lost my head. Please forgive me, Lord Marquis," Father said calmly. "It's nothing." I coughed softly twice, looking extremely weak, having just argued with Father and been slapped. My voice was hoarse. It worked to my advantage now. "Thank you, Liu Lang. For today, when I recover, I will visit the Prime Minister's residence in person." Liu Yannian looked at me a few more times before taking his leave. That brief standoff lasted only a moment, but my clothes were already soaked through. After Father saw him off, he called Shui Zhao and me to him. This time he did not mock my plan. "You reacted quickly enough." Even Shui Zhao saw Liu Yanyan's real purpose. He was testing us. Father nodded. "Do not act rashly about the mistress. Liu Yannian is already suspicious. If you alert him now, you will never find that woman again." Having seen Liu Yanyan's methods, none of us underestimated him anymore. This truly required careful planning. Back in my room, I sat at the table deep in thought. The wedding had been postponed, such a major event, and yet Liu Yannian showed no dissatisfaction, still insisting on marrying me. Who was the hunter, and who the prey? I thought myself clever, plotting and scheming. In the end, I looked like a fool. No wonder Liu Yannian had agreed to the marriage. A fool who thought herself smart was the perfect target. Shui Zhao noticed my gloom and pushed the Osmanthus cakes on the table toward me. "Mother, eating some snacks will make you feel better," I sighed. "Zhao, do you think I'm a complete failure? My relationship with Father was terrible. The good man I dreamed of marrying wanted me dead. In the end, I couldn't even protect my own child, hurting those close to me, pleasing my enemies. That was probably it." "Not at all. Shui Jiao looked at me earnestly. You're the best mother in the world. I have half of Liu Yanyan's blood, but I didn't turn into a villain full of evil schemes like him. That's all because of you, mother. In that moment, it was as if light had filled the empty cracks in my heart. I couldn't help reaching out to touch the birthmark on Shui Jiao's cheekbone. What had this child been through to be so sensitive and fragile, yet so kind and sincere? He flinched violently as if burned. I couldn't help asking him, Jiao, you seem to mind this birthmark very much. He hung his head and was silent for a long time before finally speaking in a small voice. This birthmark brought you and me endless suffering. When I was born, Liu Yanyan hated it at first sight. He said it was a bad omen. Everyone in the Liu family was outstanding. Yet I was born ugly. He even said, I was a bastard born from you and another man. The Osman thus cake I'd been biting into crumbled to pieces in my hand. That beast. Liu Yanyan disliked me, and the Liu family avoided me. Only you, mother, never cared what others thought. You treasured me like a precious jewel. And grandfather. At this, Shui Jiao's voice was almost choked up. When I was little, I looked forward most to going back to the Shui manor with you. He was already thin, hunched over like this. He looked even more pitiful. My eyes turned red at once. Shui Jiao immediately swallowed his sobs and gently tugged at my sleeve. Mother, don't be sad, I've already made sense of it. Liu Yanyan never loved us, so nothing we did was ever right. It has nothing to do with the birthmark. But grandfather is different. He loves you, and he loved grandmother too. I wiped the tears from the corners of my eyes and stroked Shui Jiao's head. Don't listen to Liu Yanyan's nonsense. Your birthmark is not a bad omen. This is a mark I gave you. That way, I will recognize you in every lifetime. That night, Shui Jiao and I talked for a long time. Even though I hadn't given birth to him in this life, it was as if I had walked his entire childhood with him again, until Inga slipped quietly into the room. Young miss, young master, master is calling you to the study. Father got straight to the point. Liu Yanyan is more cautious than we thought. I sent someone to check, the place is empty. Shui Jiao fell silent in astonishment. The news he had worked so hard to bring was now useless. Father noticed his dejection. Don't lose heart. Liu Yanyan's panic has exposed him. Shui Jiao and I looked up sharply, our movements identical. A faint smile tugged at father's eyes. Grandfather, what do you mean? He had simply gone along with calling him grandfather. Father did not correct him. He clearly enjoyed it. If she were just an ordinary mistress, why would he be this cautious? Liu Yanyan is hiding her too well. I now suspect the woman is no common girl. Shui Jiao's eyes lit up. Grandfather, you're brilliant. Father could barely suppress his grin, his voice gentle. Then guess, Jiao, what is her true background? I wanted to laugh and cry at the same time. So my father did know how to spoil a child. I had lived for over a decade in vain. I was not half as good as Shui Jiao at winning his favor. Sure enough, father immediately turned to me, his tone sharp again. Stop staring. Use your brain. You're not even as sharp as a child. I, Shui Jiao, however, began analyzing earnestly based on father's clues. Not a common girl, no need to hide her so carefully. Not a courtesan, same reason. Not a noble lady, he could have married her as his legal wife instead of you. Shui Jiao suddenly froze, stunned. Could she be the daughter of a disgraced official? That makes sense. If her background was clean, he could have taken her as a concubine. Why wait for the old prime minister to die? I realized it at once and cut in. Because she would drag the entire Liu residence to ruin. As long as the old prime minister lived, he would never allow such madness. Father nodded approvingly. Well reasoned, Jiao. I will look into all female relatives of disgraced officials from the past 10 years. Grandfather, no need for trouble. I remember what she looks like, Shui Jiao said clearly. He then winked at me, full of lively youthfulness. I understood his meaning instantly. This was the silent understanding between mother and son. I volunteered at once. I can paint, I'll do it. Father spread out a sheet of rice paper. In my memory, this was the first time I had painted in his study. Shui Jiao's voice came slowly from the side. She has almond eyes, a sharp face, a red mole between her brows. An unprecedented peace wrapped around me. Everything I had once schemed and fought for, I had already possessed it all along. The final stroke fell. A delicate beauty appeared on the paper. Shui Zhao's face lit up. Yes, that's her. Father and I exchanged a glance and smiled in relief. Once we uncovered the woman's identity and solidified the evidence, we could not only break the engagement but also ruin Liu Yanian completely. Father suddenly spoke. Zhao, wait outside. I need to speak to your mother alone. Shui Zhao knew the tension between father and me. He hesitated for a moment, then hung his head and left. I knew father had something private to say. He glanced at the painting on the desk, his gaze distant. Your mother, she was also a famous talent in the capital. Once, you two are very alike, strong-willed, stubborn, refusing to back down. Since mother's death, father and I had been cold to each other. This was the first time he had mentioned her directly. Before marrying father, mother had been famous throughout the capital. Though a woman, her mind was brilliant and her spirit bright. She had her own pride, but after marrying father, she was neglected in the inner quarters. She never lived the harmonious marriage she had dreamed of. Ladies she had once looked down on mocked her secretly. What talent, without her husband's love, she's just a bitter woman. She felt trapped, sinking into sorrow day after day. I said nothing, afraid we would quarrel again if I opened my mouth. When your mother was gravely ill, I didn't stay away on purpose. He chose his words carefully. His tone unusually gentle. I was framed by political enemies. The situation was desperate. If I hadn't broken free, the entire Marquis mansion would have fallen. Maya, the mansion may look glorious and prosperous, but every step is taken on the edge of a blade. One wrong move, and we are doomed. I didn't choose to be a carefree nobleman. Once I started, there was no turning back. I failed your mother. But for you too, I have never been insincere. If he had explained this to me right after mother died, I would never have believed him. I would have thought it just an excuse. But after being plotted to death in my previous life, and after unraveling Liu Yanyan's schemes step by step in this life, I understood father now. The court was treacherous. Men's hearts evil. Truly, no one was fully in control of their fate. Fate was a kind storyteller. It had sent Shui Zhao back to me. The hatred for Liu Yanian felt small now. I was more grateful to have such a good family. The heavens had never been unkind to me. I pushed open the door. Zhao was waiting for me under the magnolia tree in the yard. Mother, are you all right? I teased him. Were you eavesdropping again? He hurried to explain. I wasn't. I was waiting for you. I laughed aloud and put an arm around his shoulders. Walking out together. The karma of my previous life deserved an end. Father acted decisively. He soon uncovered the mistress's true identity. She is Zhu Shiyuan's daughter. That explains the deep connection between the Zhu and Prime Minister's families. Zhu Shiyuan had been the former Minister of Revenue, beheaded for embezzlement. Over 200 members of the Zhu clan were imprisoned or exiled. Zhu Wn, Zhu Shiyuan's daughter, should have been sent to official brothels, but she chose to jump into a well rather than surrender. It seems Liu Yanian secretly saved her. Father nodded. The Zhus and Lius had been neighbors years ago. They must have been childhood sweethearts. Zhu Wn is now pregnant. Liu Yanian is hiding her in a nunnery on the outskirts of the city. I have men surrounding it secretly. At the word nunnery, Shui Zhao's expression shifted slightly. No wonder. I looked at him in confusion. After grandmother died in my previous life, Liu Yanian set up a memorial tablet for her in that nunnery. Every festival, he accompanied you there to pray and grieve. Everyone praised him for being filial and kind, but I felt no more turmoil. It was exactly like Liu Yanian using mourning for my mother as a cover to meet his mistress. No wonder even the gods could not stand it. Father's voice turned cold as a blade. In 3 days, at the Empress Dowager's birthday banquet, we will expose this hypocrite before the emperor and all the court. The day arrived quickly. The Empress Dowager's birthday was a grand occasion. All civil and military officials attended with gifts. After everyone presented their offerings and the performances were about to begin, Father stepped forward abruptly. Your subject dares to speak. I accuse the new top scholar, Liu Yanian, of harboring the daughter of a disgraced official. May the Emperor and Empress Dowager judge justly. The court erupted in uproar. Father's performance was more stunning than any song or dance. The Emperor spoke gravely. This is a grave matter. Do you have proof? Lord Marquis. Naturally, at father's order, guards led a nun forward. This nun is from the nunnery on the outskirts. After Zhu Shiyuan's embezzlement case, Liu Yannian secretly rescued Zhu Wn and hid her there. The nun glanced fearfully at the livid Liu Yannian, then nodded firmly. Everything Lord Marquis says is true. Zhu Wn is pregnant and staying in my nunnery. The crowd buzzed with whispers. Zhu Shiyuan's daughter. I heard he embezzled tens of thousands in silver. No wonder the Shuelu marriage was delayed. The Marquis is wise. Liu Yannian shouted in protest. This is framing. You find a random nun and accuse me of hiding a criminal. Is this some kind of joke? He turned to father. Lord Marquis, if you think the Prime Minister's family is beneath you, just end the engagement. Why use such underhanded tricks? Seeing Liu Yannian so confident and unafraid, father's heart sank. To avoid alerting him, he had only ordered the nunnery watched, not seized Zhu Wn. He had pressured the nun into testifying with kindness and threat. Liu Yannian's confidence meant he must have a backup plan. He must have moved Zhu Wn without anyone noticing. As the two stood deadlocked, I suddenly stepped forward. Your subject has another witness. My sudden entrance shifted the entire scene. Father looked at me with worry, as if saying, "What are you doing?" I spoke calmly. "Bring Zhu Wn in." At these words, Liu Yannian's face paled drastically. Zhu Wn had been well cared for all these years. Her belly was slightly rounded, her skin fair and glowing. Only a faint sorrow lingered between her brows. At the sight of her, Liu Yannian lost control and whispered hoarsely, "Wanwan." So even the ruthless, heartless young Master Liu had a weak spot he could not touch. Zhu Wn looked back at him, her eyes full of complexity. She finally turned away resolutely and knelt. "Your Majesty, this criminal is Zhu Wn, daughter of the late Minister Zhu Shiyuan. Years ago, I wanted to die to preserve my honor. Young Master Liu saved me and sheltered me until now." The emperor did not interrupt, only watching her quietly, letting her continue. "All these years, I lived like a rat in the dark, never seeing the light of day. Young Master Liu gave me food, clothes, and affection. I am deeply grateful, but everything was stolen. I cannot bear to watch young Master Liu fall deeper into sin. He risked the Prime Minister's family for me, and used Miss Xue, planning to ruin her entire life. Every time I think of this, I cannot sleep at night. Your Majesty, Empress Dowager, every word I speak is true. I step forward today not to accuse anyone, nor to repay kindness with betrayal. I only want to build virtue for my unborn child. To leave him a path so he may live clean and upright for the rest of his life." Zhu Wan's words were soaked in blood and sincerity. The hall fell completely silent. Liu Yannian looked as if his soul had been ripped out. He was no longer the confident young man. He did not struggle or rage, only looked grief-stricken. "Wanwan, why didn't you tell me earlier? Everything I did, I only wanted to make you happy." He then turned to glare at me furiously. "Xuemai, you destroyed everything. Even if I go to hell, I will drag you down with me." But I felt no fear at all. In that moment, I realized Liu Yannian was just like me, a stubborn, obsessive fool. We ask why the Bodhisattva sits inverted, and sigh that mortals refuse to turn back. But I was luckier than him. I got my Jiao back. As for Liu Yannian, he would spend the rest of his life drowning in endless pain. Near the end of the birthday banquet, the emperor delivered his final verdict. Liu Yannian, new top scholar, has harbored the daughter of a disgraced official. His scholarly title is hereby stripped, his engagement to the Xue family dissolved, and he is sentenced to exile 3,000 li away. Liu Shu, Prime Minister, has failed to teach his son and govern his household. He is dismissed from his post and ordered to retire to his hometown. As for you, Zhu Wn, out of consideration for your sincere repentance, you shall be spared exile. After giving birth, you will enter the palace weaving department as a maid, never to leave for the rest of your life." Everyone praised the emperor's wisdom and benevolence. I let out a long breath, preparing to return home with father, but he stared at me, making my heart race. "You daring girl, acting behind my back. Do you know how dangerous this was? If Zhu Wn had stood firmly with Liu Yannian, we would have lost everything." "She wouldn't," I said softly. As a mother, I knew she wouldn't. After discussing the plan with father that day, Shui Jiao told me a secret that changed everything. Mother, I don't think Zhu Wn is entirely evil. He hesitated for a long time before speaking quietly. After Liu Yanian poisoned you to death, I went mad with anger and wanted to die with him. But outside his study, I heard him quarreling with Zhu Wn. She was crying so hard she could barely breathe. She said she never wanted to be the main wife, but Liu Yanian had killed an innocent woman. How was she supposed to live with herself? I fell silent for a long time, then made a shocking decision. I had to meet Zhu Wn. On the night before the banquet, I disguised myself as a nun and snuck into the nunnery. Zhu Wn was not surprised to see me. You know who I am. Her face was calm. What must come will come, isn't that so, Miss Zhu? Do you truly understand Liu Yanian? Liu Lang has his faults, but he treated me well. My gaze sharpened. What about your unborn child? Born stained with the blood of others, is that what you want? Liu Yanian is cunning, but can you guarantee he will win every time? Can you and your child bear the consequences? Zhu Wn stepped back, laughing bitterly. What else can I do? Do I have a choice? I owe my life to him. If not for the child, I would have died long ago. I spoke plainly. Testify against Liu Yanian, and I promise your child will come to no harm. She turned the question back on me. Miss Shui, you are not a mother. How could you understand? Zhu Wan's eyes were red and weary. I'm tired. Liu Lang may be good, but he never asked what I wanted, what I was willing to bear. His love is too heavy. I can't carry it. Neither can the child. I understand, I said, looking at her sincerely. The Shui family will raise your child. He will live openly in the sunlight, a clean, kind, and honest man, just like my Jiao, and I kept my promise. I brought Zhu Wn back to the Shui residence to rest and give birth safely. Everything finally settled. The three of us, grandfather, mother, and son, finally relaxed and sat happily around the table. Father raised his cup first. You two don't drink wine, so I'll toast with tea, to our complete victory. Shui Jiao sipped his tea, but he looked troubled. He asked me, Mother, what do you plan to do now? His question caught me off guard. I truly hadn't thought about it. I pinched his cheek. Of course I'll stay with you, Jiao. I want to watch you marry and have children. Mother, haven't you ever thought about yourself? He looked at me quietly. For some reason, I had a terrible feeling. As if he was about to leave me. Mother, in my past life, your paintings were worth a fortune, but you willingly gave it all up to cook and care for me and Liu Yanian. You deserve a wider world. Who says a woman must only marry, bear children, and live within four walls? I want you to see the mountains and rivers, to witness all the wonders of the world, to paint your own magnificent stories. That is the life you were meant to live. Shui Jiao smiled, speaking each word gently. But the outline of the young man before me was growing transparent and faint. I reached out to grab him, but caught only empty air. Jiao, father, and I stood up at once. Faces filled with panic, a thought crashed into my mind. You knew all along. You knew this would happen, didn't you? All the pieces clicked together at that moment. If I did not marry Liu Yanian, Shui Jiao would never exist in this world. He had known he would disappear from the start, yet he had come anyway. Without hesitation, I knocked over the bowls and chopsticks, tears streaming down my face. I did it all for you, he whispered, to see you and grandfather reconcile, to see Liu Yanian punished. That is enough. His voice began to break, his figure turned to mist. My greatest regret in my past life was failing to protect you. Now my wish is fulfilled. I have no regrets. Jiao, Jiao. My mind went blank. I could do nothing but call his name over and over. I watched him vanish into thin air, little by little, until the very last second. Jiao seemed to use all his strength to reach out to me. Mother, promise me, for every day after this, laugh. I scrambled to grab him. But there was nothing left. Father, I finally broke down crying, throwing myself into his arms. Father turned his head and quietly wiped away the tears glistening in his eyes. Maya, look forward. Don't let Jiao's journey be in vain. Later, I did as Jiao had told me. I packed my things and traveled the world to see its mountains and rivers. I visited many temples, praying devoutly before the Buddha. The world came to know a young woman named Shui, skilled at painting Guanyin statues. Her paintings were lifelike, nearly impossible to obtain, Nobles and officials prided themselves on owning one. On Guanin's birthday, as usual, I finished praying and walked slowly out of the temple. Meow, a soft sound caught my attention. I turned around, a kitten walked gently to my feet, rubbing against me affectionately. I knelt down and stroked its chin. The kitten was pure white, except for a patch of black fur on its left cheek. I froze as if struck by lightning. Jower, is that you, Jower? Passers-by stared at me talking to a cat as if I were mad, but I didn't care. I lifted it into my arms. The kitten was well behaved, not struggling or scratching. It only meowed softly. I couldn't help touching the black patch. This was the mark I had given Jower. In this life and every life, I would recognize him. You keep meowing. You must be hungry. Let's find you something to eat. I held the cat close, as if I had found my long-lost treasure. Now it's my turn to protect you. I won't let you suffer even a little. Come on, let's go home.